Most auto insurance policies include a type of coverage called medical payment benefits. Medical payment benefits, which is often referred to as MedPay, will cover most passengers of a vehicle involved in a crash, regardless of who was at fault. If you were a passenger in someone else's vehicle at the time of the crash, you may be covered by that person's auto insurance MedPay. If you were in a vehicle that you owned, then you should be covered by your own auto insurance MedPay. A fully loaded tractor trailer can weigh up to 80,000 pounds. That is almost 20 times the size of an average passenger car. That enormous difference in weight means that getting hit by a semi is much more violent than a typical car crash. For example, getting hit by an 18-wheeler traveling at 70 miles per hour produces force equivalent to getting hit by a passenger car traveling at 361 miles per hour. It's no surprise then, when a truck hits someone, it usually results in severe injury. Severe injury should always be followed by medical treatment. Medical treatment is particularly important after a crash caused by someone else because it is the best way to document all the harm caused by the crash. Remember, the trucking companies will not believe you were hurt just because you say so. It will only believe you were hurt if a medical record says so. So if you want fair compensation for your injuries from a truck accident, it is essential that you get medical treatment, and you keep getting medical treatment until you are either completely healed or the doctors tell you that there is nothing more they can do for you. It is almost impossible to get a fair settlement for your truck accident injuries if you don't get medical treatment or stop medical treatment before you are healed. Medical treatment, however, is not free. Medical providers need to be paid for their services. Either they won't start treating you until they know who to bill, or medical bills will just start arriving at your door. Many people don't have the money available to pay for unexpected medical treatment, and the thought of unpaid medical bills piling up, being turned over to collections, maybe even hurting your credit score, can be incredibly stressful. The problem is the law does not require the person who caused your crash to start paying your medical bills right away. Technically, the trucking company and its insurance carrier are not required to pay your bills until you file a lawsuit and a judge orders them to pay. If the fault of the truck driver is obvious, most companies will offer to settle before trial, but a settlement isn't a one and done sort of thing. Once you sign the settlement paperwork, the company no longer has any responsibility for you for that crash. That means that you will be solely responsible for any new medical bills for treatment needed after the settlement date. That is why it is so important that you either 1, don't settle your case until you are discharged from all medical treatment and are completely healed, or 2, make sure that any settlement contains the money that you will need for all future medical treatment caused by the crash. So that is the catch-22 situation that you are in after being injured in a truck accident. You need to get medical treatment both to heal and to get a fair settlement, but the truck driver who caused the wreck doesn't have to pay for that treatment while you are healing. There are 4 main ways to get your medical bills paid while you are healing after a semi-crash. It is important that you use them up in this order so that you don't end up with avoidable unpaid medical bills. 1. If possible, submit your medical bills to your employer's workers' compensation insurance. If you were driving for work at the time of the wreck, not just driving to or from work, but actually driving as part of your job, or if you were driving a company vehicle, you should be covered by your employer's workers' compensation insurance. Workers' compensation insurance typically pays for necessary medical treatment for work-related injuries. It is important to immediately notify your employer after a tractor-trailer crash and ask that your claim be submitted to work comp. If your employer refuses or claims that workers' compensation will not pay for your medical treatment, do not just take your employer's word for it. If you were on the job at the time of your injury, you should consult with an attorney to see if you are eligible for workers' compensation medical benefits. There is one important catch if you do qualify for workers' compensation benefits. In many states, a workers' compensation insurance company will only pay for medical treatment that it authorizes. In other words, if you try to go to an unauthorized medical provider, workers' compensation will refuse to pay for it. The best way to make sure that your work-related medical treatment is covered by workers' compensation insurance is to consult with an attorney as soon as possible after your truck accident. 2. If workers' compensation coverage is not an option, submit your crash-related medical bills to your personal health insurance. Most personal health insurance will cover medical treatment caused by a tractor-trailer collision, even if the collision was not your fault. Don't worry. If you ever get a settlement or a verdict from the trucking company, your health insurance company will be first in line to get paid back for any crash-related treatment it covers. Sometimes you must insist that your medical providers submit your accident-related bills to your personal health insurance. Medical providers are often hesitant to submit bills to health insurance because most health insurance companies pay a lower rate than other types of insurance. If a medical provider ever suggests that it will not submit your bills to your health insurance, or if your health insurance company ever suggests that it will not cover accident-related medical treatment, you should request that they put that denial in writing so you can provide it to an attorney who can make sure that you're getting the coverage to which you're entitled. An added benefit of submitting your truck accident medical bills to your own personal health insurance is that you can be sure that you are not being overcharged for your medical care. 3. If you do not have personal health insurance, or there are bills that your health insurance will not cover, submit your crash-related medical bills to the auto insurance company that covered the vehicle you were riding in at the time of your crash. Most auto insurance policies include a type of coverage called medical payment benefits. Medical payment benefits, which is often referred to as MedPay, will cover most passengers of a vehicle involved in a crash, regardless of who was at fault. If you were a passenger in someone else's vehicle at the time of the crash, you may be covered by that person's auto insurance MedPay. If you were in a vehicle that you owned, then you should be covered by your own auto insurance MedPay. The reason you don't submit your bills to an auto insurance policy first is because most MedPay provisions have a limit on how much they will pay. It's common for auto insurance MedPay to be for a relatively small amount, like $1,000 or $5,000. That is why you should only allow your medical providers to submit bills to an auto insurance policy after you have confirmed that those bills will not be paid by workers' compensation or health insurance. I recommend that you save MedPay coverage whenever possible for health insurance deductibles or copays so you do not have to use your own money while you're waiting to heal. 4. If you are not covered by workers' compensation insurance, personal health insurance, or auto insurance MedPay, your last resort is to attempt to set up a payment plan while you are healing. Over the years, I have had a number of clients who've been able to avoid having their crash-related medical bills being turned over to collections by contacting medical providers and negotiating a payment plan. The clients who have done this successfully have used the following approach. The patient makes the call as soon as they receive a bill that they know they cannot pay. Prompt timing is the key because once a bill is turned over to a collection agency, the medical provider loses the power to agree to a payment plan. The patient makes the call themselves rather than having an attorney do it for them. For whatever reason, medical provider billing departments tend to be more sympathetic to a patient than they are to an attorney. The patient explains that the settlement could be months or even years away, and they have no other insurance to cover this bill. The patient then offers to pay a small monthly amount, something between $25 to $100 a month, towards their outstanding balance, if the medical provider will not turn them over to a collection agency. Those are the 4 main ways to get your truck accident medical bills paid while you're healing and waiting for a settlement from the trucking company. If you have any questions about the strategies I've described, call my firm, RSH Legal, at 1-800-433-0283. It is a free call for anyone who's worried about medical bills after being injured in a tractor-trailer crash.